Action. Actually, we're supposed to go.
Oh, yeah, okay, wait. All right.
Yeah, that was a bit retarded.
Unos, dos, tres, sideways.
Sideways.
Actually, we knew that we were gonna do something, but we didn't plan to do anything. We were just hanging out, and then
The first few times I think we actually met each other, we were like kids at a playground. We were just messing about, eating food, discovering sounds, being like historians, talking about our lives,
confessing our wins.
That's
basically
exactly.
Step one. Make sure you have a dope outfit. Make sure you're serving some looks. Make sure you have what it takes. A friend of ours walked through the door and he was like, hey, like this place is like a resort. He's like, you guys should go this to the resort, and we did. So it kind of just happened, and I feel like we're just you know living in the good old days. I feel like these are the days, and I feel like this is where it's happening, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
The first time I met like Manny, Person White, we started making music and everything, and we were making like really good stuff. We would say something like, songs happen by like the will of God, you know what I mean? You go for it. And now that we're able to do this in a super efficient way, let's help people out and let's start producing for people.
I was celebrating my birthday and they just so happened to be playing my beat tape at the restaurant, and Burton White himself comes up to me and is like, so hey dude, in this cool Burton White manner, like, so you made this, huh? I was like, I like this, I fuck with this. And I'm like, okay, cool man, thanks, I appreciate that. Half a year later, maybe even more, like midway through COVID, we just decided to actually connect and see if we have some synergy in the studio together. I showed up, and that's where I met Nidal as well. And man, I was just like, kind of like, I'd say a little derailed in a good way. And I felt really comfortable to make good music with them. And we started experimenting, writing for other people, and that's where I knew that we were onto something.
What I find really interesting about just making music is that everything is linked to feelings. As soon as someone walks through the door, as soon as someone gets inspired, they feel something and they put it out there. And I think honesty is what ties us together. Because one rule we have at the resort is, no bullshit. And I think we have a good, honest relationship where, if we'll be upfront with each other, and sometimes it's like it sucks hearing the truth, but it can only make you grow, and it creates an environment where everyone feels comfortable and everyone feels in the right place to just be honest and just voice out their feeling. Because if it feels authentic, if it feels genuine, if it feels true, well then I think it's going to translate, and everyone in the room is going to feel it. You know what I mean? So I think that's what I want to. That's what keeps me going.
100%, and like it has to be fun, because like that's, otherwise it defeats the purpose. It's gotta be fun.
Defeats the purpose of the resort.
Yeah, it defeats the purpose of the resort, because like when we have people over here, like we're just like basically like chilling. There's no pressure, like till everyone feels comfortable to start recording. If it takes 6 hours, like with Sideways, that's what happened. Like L was here like at noon, we started recording at 7 hours later. So
It's a record you put on when you need a soulful reset of mind, body, and spirit musically. And I feel like I wrote that record as a response of what I'm looking and seeing. Almost like if I'm gonna write a record like that, I'd like to do it through this like non-judgmental and very like satirical way, where I'm almost like looking at it through a panoramic lens as a satirical historian. That's why I started it with like, I'm looking at the world sideways. Instead of me trying to bring down the mood all the time, I use parallels, visual parallels in my text to provoke and stimulate a thought that might invoke a philosophical change in someone's mind. Looking at the world changing, I was looking at politics becoming this like media beast, and I didn't know how, as an MC that always stood for the message, how to exist in a time like that. It came to a point where Sideways was just the perfect representation of what humanity was going through, and it couldn't have been at a better time.
It's a good question, actually. I'm glad you asked me that question. So, I can smell the coffee brewing. It's brown sugar. But this time, there's nothing left to ruin. I'm post up! Etc.
In my head, it was just like, just, you know what I mean, just a scratch take. And he kept on going. And he kept on going, and I was like, oh wait, that's not a scratch take. Like I believe it's the take. And then he went from that to, holy shit, that's mind blowing. And then he went from that to me getting shivers to the final take, one shot. The man did it one shot. So L, he shows up with a big suitcase.
The suitcase. The suitcase. The man pulls up with a suitcase, bro.
So what's in the suitcase?
Bro.
What's in the suitcase?
This guy's jokes, man.
Is this guy moving in or something?
Essentially, when this guy walked through the door with the suitcase, shit went sideways.
Shit went sideways.
Essentially, that's what happened. When I realized that we were doing something special is when I was recording Nadal on the bass, and he was just in the zone getting the bass line, and I knew that we had the bass line 20 takes prior, but he was just he was feeling
He'll
it.
give you 100 options.
It was there, and he just by pure pleasure, the guy was still going, and then you were just rap, you were just laying out bars. I have to capture this right away. I just knew, I was like, okay, fuck. So I stopped recording Nadal, and he still thought he was recording. And then I just press record, and whatever we captured there
is the record.
Is the record.
And I feel like the record is just blatantly honest. The record is heavy, and it's supported by the most beautiful, fun-loving, gritty groove you can imagine. And yeah, man, it's one of my favorite records I've ever made. Mind you, I wrote this record just before Trump got into presidency, so before COVID, and that's why it kind of gave me shivers. If we don't pay attention, we're gonna end up in the Trump cages next minute. We're gonna feel it like it's contagious. You make what you want out of that.
Actually, the whole process was haunting in a good way. It's a cool track and everything. It's a cool record, I was like, okay, but this is what we do. And then afterwards, I played it, and I was we were looking at each other. We're like, okay, shit, I think we did something. I think we did something cool. Shout out to Scott.
Shout out to Scott.
Scotty made it happen.
Killing it on the strings.
Thank you. They nailed it, man. They actually nailed it. Every single aspect of that record, it speaks volumes to the emphasis of what I meant within the message of the lyrics. I'm incredibly grateful to share my art and have the ability to share my art. I'd like to thank God, my family, and my musical family for always holding me down. And check out Sideways. It's probably out.
Sideways.